I've tried dating religious women. It just won't work. It won't work. Too small minded. You can't be open minded and religious because, by definition, when you are religious, you're operating by a closed system. So don't try to convince me that you're this open minded person if you strictly adhere to a religion and you feel like your religion is right. That's a whole nother conversation. It's one thing for you to practice a certain kind of lifestyle, but for you to say that yours is right and the only one is foolish.
I like when conversations like this happen because what it does is it really shows you the heart of a person. And what I mean by that is this. To say that religious women are closed-minded, or just religious people in general are closed-minded, is to say people who aren't religious are completely open-minded. Like, these are general statements being made. And there's no way to like prove that other than to have conversation with people. And when you start having conversation with people, what I've noticed is that people who tend to think other people are closed-minded, they think they're open-minded because they just go with anything. But when you really start to talk about the meat and potatoes of what they like and what they don't like, you'll start to see that even if they're not practicing a religion or they believe in a certain faith, you can still dial in on an area of life that they're closed-minded about. Like the fact that he's not even interested in dating women who practice a religion is a closed-minded framework to me, because I know women who practice the faith, believing in Jesus, that are open-minded in conversation. Now, do they have boundaries? Yes. I'm sure this man has boundaries. It's just so interesting to hear him articulate, oh, I can't date women who are religious because they're closed-minded. He's basing it off experiences that he's had, but he's speaking as though every woman that practices a faith is closed-minded. No, what's closed-minded is to think that they all are the same, because the reality of it is there are things called primary issues or secondary issues. It's known as primary issues in the Christian faith, is that like they're fundamental moral things that are black and white. Like you shall not steal, you shall not harm anybody, you shall not, mess with your neighbor's wife or your neighbor's husband, things like that. Those are primary. Like you understand those are primary convictions. Then you have secondary issues like whether someone decides whether or not they want to eat pork, whether someone says whether or not they want to have a drink, whether someone feels the freedom to smoke a cigar or not. Like those are secondary issues. So you can meet someone who's practicing a faith, and one may say, I don't eat pork, I don't, have a drink of wine or alcohol at all. And another one may say, oh, I have no problem with having pork. I have no problem with having a glass of wine. That alone shows that there's a difference. It doesn't mean that, to me, it doesn't mean that either of them are closed-minded. It just means like, hey, these are boundaries that I put in place. And I wish, maybe he'll talk about it more later in the video, maybe not. But when people start to call other people closed-minded, they rarely quantify what they mean as closed-minded. They rarely do. Because what I've learned is it's subjective to what they want. Like, so, for example, let's say this gentleman here, let's say he wants to date a woman who's of the Christian faith, but he wants to have sex right off bat, right? Once she gets to know him, he gets to know him, her, they want to feel, he wants to be comfortable to have sex. He doesn't want to wait to marriage. Well, she may say, no, I want to wait till marriage. And he can conclude that she's closed-minded. I don't think that's a closed-minded perspective. I think to call someone closed-minded, it has to be based off something that does not give you a benefit, right? Like you have no dog in the fight, and you're open-minded about it, but you don't have no dog in the fight. Typically, people are calling people closed-minded in a derogatory way, a way to be dismissive, a way to disengage, a way to not have to acknowledge the way the other person feels or thinks. And I don't care who you are, man or woman, if this is how you approach dating, generalizing, wanting people to be open-minded when it benefits you, that's going to get you nowhere quick. But let him finish out, then I'll finish giving my thoughts.
It's ignorant. And that's why I have a hard time dating women that are religious, because most times, more times than not, I've met a small few that were not ignorant and that understood their religion is a choice, it's a lifestyle choice. But it's not the end all be all, and it's not the best thing for every single person.
Yeah, so essentially, there are women who disagree with him. Women who disagree with him have a difference of opinion or a difference of perspective. They look at faith as a end all be all for them. I look at faith as a priority, as an end all be all for me. And I wouldn't say I'm closed-minded. I'm just serious. I believe that God is who he say he is. That's not me being closed-minded, that he gives you the moral liberty to choose him or not. Doesn't mean I'm closed-minded. It just means that, hey, this is what I believe and that's what you believe. I'm not going to call you closed-minded based off the fact that you don't believe the true and living God is who he say he is, based off creation and all that we see and the sacred scriptures. I'm not going to call you closed-minded. I'm just going to say, hey, you don't believe the Bible. That's really it. But I've learned this to be the case for a lot of people who go around calling people closed-minded. It's just that the person isn't agreeing with what they want them to agree with, and what they want them to agree with benefits them. So because they're not agreeing with them, they call them closed-minded. That's typically how it works. And this is what I would say to that. When we're talking about life, doing life with others, there's a Bible verse that says, be at peace with everyone as much as it is possible within your control. Essentially, that's what the Bible is saying. As much as it's within your control, be at peace with people. That does not mean that you lay aside your faith just to be agreeable or just to do life with a person. What that means is, as long as it doesn't contradict the lifestyle, the faith, the boundaries that you have, the way you see family, the way you see finance, the way you think we should honor other human beings with dignity. As long as what they're asking doesn't contradict, you can do things peacefully with them. But if it gets to a point to where you're striving to do things peacefully with them, but they're crossing these boundaries, it's no longer possible to live peacefully with them and peaceable with them, because they have no desire to consider how you're living your life. They only want to be selfish and want you to do life the way they want. And that's just what it comes down to. Most of the scenarios of people calling people closed-minded comes down to they met a person who doesn't choose to do life the way they want or doesn't agree with them. And he chose to say religious women. I thank God for women with boundaries. I thank God. You know what I'm saying? We need people who have boundaries. We're living in a world and a society where you're meeting so many people who don't have boundaries, and saying everything is okay. And that's not true, and at the end of the day, he just doesn't like it. And now they're closed-minded. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. And connect with the brand online at www.there'shopebrand.com. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.